You are listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. Coming to you virtually live from high atop the historic Raleigh building in beautiful downtown Raleigh. The NCF&B takes the listener behind the scenes to tell the stories of the people that contribute to the creation of the food and beverage community of North Carolina. And now, the misfits in the dish pit, the faces of the front. They are Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today on the pod, we are discussing Brij. For those of you that don't know, Brij is a new platform that offers restaurants a financial lifeline. And here to tell us all the ins and outs of that lifeline are the founders, Sam Poley and Bill Putzis. Welcome, gentlemen.
Well, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Welcome, gents. I always do like to start off about how we get to know each other and how this comes to be. And so, Sam, I'm thinking about you when I mention this because I didn't know you. And the funny part is all of our mutual friends were like, how do you not know Sam? Sam is he's like you. He's in the business. He's been doing it for years. Great guy, beautiful, handsome guy. Women love him. He's just like you. You should know each other.
Except that you're better looking, man. I mean...
Well, I did get my haircut and my beard done yesterday, so...
You look fabulous. You should know that. No, I had the same experience when I, put it out there that I needed to get in touch with you. Everyone's like, how do you not know? Like, you should just be able to yell. You guys are in the same room all the time. I'm like, no.
Yeah, seriously.
No, we're not.
But with that said, maybe let's do a little reference point here. We are talking about Brij, and we'll get to Brij. We'll get there in a moment. But Sam, you're a fellow restaurateur. You've been in the business for a long time. Maybe give us a little background.
I'm an oddball in the food community, and that technically I'm not really in the food community any longer. I was a restaurant owner. I had restaurant Starloo in Durham from 2004 to 2007, was one of the original founders of Only Burger, and got out of the business in 2009 and went back into my original career, which was communications and marketing. And nowadays I'm an independent marketing consultant working with Brij. So for clarity, I'm not a founder of Brij, but I am helping to launch Brij. Bill is a founder in Brij, but I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started several businesses, and I've had the good fortune to come through the food business and maintain my relationship with it. And that is really how I became connected to Brij as a platform. Originally, Brij was targeted toward helping small businesses as it maintains with an eye toward, at the outset, helping restaurants who were really hurting.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into that in a sec. So, Bill, you are one of the co-founders. Included, from what I've read, you got a couple brainiacs to lead your team. As I read, you have a company president, a law student, a marketing professor, and 2 PhDs. That's not all just you, is it, Bill? Did you just list them all out? You're like, yeah, that's me.
Well said, Max. No, there were 5 of us that originally started the company. Sam is a member of the team. There are now a team of 7 of us working on this. And they're all distinct and different people, Max.
So, Bill, take us through the genesis of the creation of Brij. And by the way, if you're looking online, that's Brij. A lot of great companies are formed by finding a need or thinking about what you would like to see, and then voila, you go about creating it. Is that what happened here?
Yeah, very much. It's funny. It was almost a year ago where the genesis of the idea started. I was talking with one of the co-founders. We had many lengthy calls on what then was an early stage pandemic, and we saw the struggles of small businesses and restaurants, yoga studios, haircutting places, tailors, dry cleaners, all our favorite, especially restaurants and bars that we wanted to frequent in the future. We were wondering if they still were going to be around at the end of this pandemic. Of course, back then we didn't envision this would go on for a year. We thought maybe summer or fall, and so we set out to help. We originally set out with the mission, if we could help just one small business stay in business that would have gone out of business without us. then we've been successful in all of our efforts. And of course, our ambitions are much greater than just one. But we set out to help those small businesses. And the one thing that we saw lacking when we started was that there were places to go to give money. But a lot of businesses don't like charity. They don't want to just take money from people. And more importantly, what we really needed to do is find a way to help them thrive after the crisis. All the other places out there are one and dones. Throw some money at it and then go away. We want to be part of this when we're on the other side, helping the businesses thrive after. So the genesis and the origins really started when we were in the beginning of the pandemic. We set out to try and help.
And to leverage what Bill said just a little bit further, most of the mass communication channels available to small businesses are now boxing small businesses out, either through their pay structure, their fee-for-service structure, or the algorithms that drive them. It makes it very, very hard for a small business to connect with their community. And that's the long play here, is that we want to create a direct pipeline between a small business and the constituents who want to hear from them.
Sam, can you elaborate on that? What is that? Why are they being boxed out by the traditional or the previous platforms that they were using?
So if we look at some of the big social players, it's a great question. But if we look at some of the big social players, if you're a small business, take your own enterprise, for example, the F&B podcast. If you were to just go post something on a social media account and you didn't provide any financial incentive for that social media platform to ensure that people saw it, very few people would see what you posted. The organic posting reach for most businesses anymore on the big social players, and we'll just leave them unnamed, is next to zero anymore. Usually sub 0.5% of your constituents will see what you post organically because of the algorithm, which is extremely complex.
Yeah, you got to pay to play at this point.
You got to pay to play. And that's all fine, well, and good, except for the fact that for a very long time, you didn't have to pay to play. And for a lot of small businesses, when they got going, especially when they got going within the social media construct, social became this connection to their community. And it wasn't an arduous connection in the same way that creating an email and an email platform would then go out and somebody would have to go into the email platform and sift through all the other emails, and it was hard to differentiate in your inbox. And then inboxes started to filter content. It got very complicated. You could take a picture of something, say, hey, this is going to be on special tonight, come eat it, post it, and you'd be sold out of that item by 6:30.
Yeah. Well, that's like if you watch the movie Chef, because we are kind of talking how social media relates to the food and beverage industry. I always laugh at it because maybe there was a moment of time when your 11-year-old son on the food truck with you could have tweeted out that you were going to be post up at some place in Austin, Texas, and then a huge line would ensue. But watching it now, it just looks like a fairy tale. You're like, that's not how it works.
It didn't work that way when we launched Only Burger.
Does he understand SEO? Does he have paid partnerships with everybody? Yeah, no, because all of that is how it works today.
Yeah.
And Max, it's funny, we set this up intentionally to not take a dime. So we're not taking a dime from any business. There's no cost to sign up, intentionally to avoid that.
Well, that was a question I had later on, and I guess we could just ask that. I was going to say, how does Brij make money? And it doesn't?
Right now, it's a labor of love. So we put this in. Everything we put into the business so far has been out of pocket. The long-term gain, the long-term vision is once we build a network of businesses, we now have the ability to sell to someone on the outside in terms of sponsorship. We have the ability to give them diagnostics on what works in the local area. So we can do analytics on what works for any individual business. That's the longer term, but at least until the January 1, 2021, we're not taking in a dime.
It's not too different than what we do here. I mean, we did the podcast for absolutely free until we got a sponsor, and then like our first sponsor was my wife's company, and our sponsorship was basically she did social media for us. So it's kind of funny, but it all worked out that way. My wife's company, Food Scene, manages social media practices and for the food and beverage industry, and she did that for us to help build our infrastructure. And as time moved on, we were able to, we actually purposefully separated ourselves from my wife's company because we're like, no, we should be independent and not be reliant on each other. And like, we love Food Scene can help, but the NCF&B is going to be its own thing now because it can generate its own money. And we have sponsors. Maybe that's a good time to take a break. Maybe we should pay our bills a little bit, Matt.
What a segue.
We should talk about Boss Coffee, which is a company, oddly enough. Food Scene helped bring Boss Coffee's presence into America through a social media realm because Boss Coffee is a Japanese-based company that makes flash brewed, then chilled fast cold draft coffee. Comes in 3 different flavors: black, cafe au lait, and vanilla. They're all fantastic. They are all sold on Amazon.com, which everyone knows. That's a company that doesn't worry about algorithms so much. You can pretty much get yourself visibly out there. But if you do want to purchase any coffee from Boss on Amazon, you can use the NCFB podcast promo code to receive 10% off because Boss Coffee is using our social media presence to find a new sector to sell their product. And by doing that, we give our customer base a discount. So that's how that works.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. So go to Boss Coffee.
Go to Boss Coffee. And while we're talking about small businesses also, we should talk about our most long-standing sponsor and one of the reasons that we get to do this show. And I want to congratulate them because they just opened up their 5th business.
That's
finally,
right.
The long-awaited Bedford store up in North Raleigh. And I'm talking about, of course, the Triangle Wine Company.
Cheers.
Yeah. Triangle Wine Company, Chris Roche and Glenn Hagedorn, local owners, and now have 5 businesses. Go check them out in North Raleigh. You can also, if you're not near there, go to the one in Cary, go to the one in Holly Springs, go to the one in Morrisville, or of course, if you're out in Southern Pines playing golf as the weather's nice today, you can pick up all your needs for wine, beer, vermouth, mixers, etc. And don't forget there to use the NCFB promo code also to receive a discount. Or go to trianglewineco.com. You can get delivery or curbside pickup.
We're going to take a break from the show to feature a new segment that discusses an often overlooked aspect of the business. I'm speaking about creating a family-friendly environment inside the restaurant industry. With help from our friends at Family Forward NC, which is a program of the North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation, a nonprofit that works to support children and their families across the state, we're going to discuss ideas, resources, and testimonials from those that work within the company, as well as actual restaurant owners that have implemented family-friendly practices while working with Family Forward NC.
And to help us understand better what Family Forward NC is all about, we have the Community Engagement Leader of North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation, Ms. Lisa Finaldi. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you today.
Let's just get right into it. What is Family Forward NC?
Sure. My team has been traveling across North Carolina talking to employers about how family-friendly workplaces have value for them and also support their employees and the health and well-being of children.
And so what are some of the practices that are considered family-friendly?
Great question. So family-friendly really means that employers are supporting parents in the workplace. In North Carolina, we have 400,000 working parents who have children ages 0 to 6.
Wow.
And we know that when children get support from their parents, but also from their community, and business is part of a community, they are going to be more successful in school, in life, because they're getting that really important foundation when they're young. And so if we look at benefits that are most important to the hospitality industry, for example, we can look at paid leave, includes paid sick leave, medical leave, a parent's ability to take a child to their doctor's appointment. These kinds of leaves that they won't get docked for are really important. Also, giving workers some access to referrals for childcare. As we know right now, critical situation, right? We're also thinking about scheduling. There's just a lot of research that shows that both flexibility, in some cases predictable scheduling, is really important for parents. And also the option, for example, of a job share. It's not something that we think about very often, but all of these benefits have value to the business. So we could look at absenteeism. We can look at turnover. Turnover is huge in hospitality, and we could reduce turnover if we're able to think about creatively about what these benefits could be that we can provide to employees.
That seems beneficial for the business in its own self. Why are these practices important for both the business and child and family health and well-being?
Well, let's just take one example. So if we look at turnover, a lot of small and independent businesses, they know they have a turnover problem, but maybe they're not able to actually quantify it and look at what is the financial impact, right? And so the financial impact has to do with finding somebody, taking the time to replace an employee. So you've got to take time to do that. People filling in the meantime, training someone, all these things actually have monetary value. So how can I avoid that? And when parents are, treated as parents, knowing that they have kids at home, that's so important to them. It reduces their stress. When they reduce their stress, they're going to stay. They're going to be more productive. And more productive equals a happy customer because we have a happy employee.
Family Forward NC is an innovative initiative of the North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation. Family Forward NC can provide your company with resources and support to help you implement practices like paid leave, flexible work and scheduling, health benefits and flexible spending accounts, child care support, and more. For more information, please visit familyforwardnc.com. Business smart, family friendly, future ready. Brij it's like Kickstarter or a crowdfunding site, except it's based on long-term rather than just startup cash flow, which I like because it's, for me to understand this, it builds customer loyalty and support while offering its customer base, the individual restaurants or businesses' customer base, something that it wouldn't generally receive by just going to the store. Right, so that's what you guys are kind of offering. You're giving more of like an incentive to those particular restaurants or businesses, something more by them contributing to helping the company.
So the idea in many ways, Max, is exactly that. We have these things we call Brij promotions, and they can be whatever a business wants them to be. So we have one business that wants to create an alleyway, and as a result of donations from Brij, they're going to help build the alleyway in the spring to build in customers to be able to dine outdoors. We have another business in Maine. It's actually a brewery that has named a beer after one of the donors. So the idea is to continue with those promotions long after the crisis has ended.
Yeah, and so that's also notable that you're not, obviously we're North Carolina based, but Brij is not. It can help any company across the country, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, anybody, anywhere. And to zoom out for just a second, I want people to understand that the word Brij is used very intentionally. I think when people think about Brij as it relates to business, they often think about bridge loans, which businesses use to get over hurdles. And in one sense, that's exactly where the concept for Brij came from. But really, the long play for Brij is to build a bridge between a business and its community. And there are a variety of ways where people can, through which people can feel the connection to that business. In one, it is simply just the communication back and forth, or actually really a 1.0 communication, one way from the business to the community to say, hey, this thing is happening. And that people can see that without algorithm. The other is these Brij promotions, which is a unique capability that Brij has to provide ways for businesses to give people an entree into that business so that they feel a sense of ownership about something. It could be the naming of a product. It could be a name plaque on a seat. It could be, your name embroidered on a blanket. Who knows? There are a myriad things. If you go to I like to think about baseball stadiums when I think about ways that people can own a bit of something. If you go to a baseball stadium, there's almost nothing that does not have someone's brand on it. Yeah. The outfield wall is a digital sign now in most baseball stadiums, and it changes throughout. There's a sticker on the cup holder that promotes a business when you go. Like the joke I used to make was, someone can sponsor the toilet paper if they want to. The idea is that everything is an opportunity. So when we begin to talk to businesses about how is it that you can give people a connection to your business? What is your unique differentiator, and what is a way that you can allow someone to be a part of that? So the really obvious ones people are doing. they're naming a product, they're naming a seat, whatever. There are myriad ways that people can do something basic like putting a name on something. There are experiences that people can have. There are ways where people can get access to, a business owner or the celebrity aspect of a business, if you will, or the public persona of a business. Sometimes when I think about this, I think the concept of celebrity chef is really overused, and a lot of people lay a lot of praise at the feet of that concept, but I think a lot of chefs find it kind of tedious. But the one that really comes to mind is who here knows Salt Bae?
Yeah,
that guy in at the steakhouse who dribbles the salt and it bounces off his forearm and he wears the sunglasses. Like, you can create any kind of persona that could connect to your business that people could get access to.
You have to have some sexy forearms, though. Like the Salt Bae, he had it rocking.
I don't know. I mean, I can see part of Matt's forearm on this call, and I think he's a contender.
Gotta get those hand weights, and scrunch them.
But exactly. But the point that I'm trying to make is everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got probably 100 things about their business that are interesting and unique, and they should be talking to their consumer base about those things. And Brij provides a tool to be able to allow people to feel connected to that thing. And I know that that's like maybe a pretty esoteric concept, but the beauty of Brij is people can go on Brij, and then Brij leans in hard to help them develop their presence on the platform.
So the idea is we're not just taking charity, we're giving something back. Community is about helping each other, not just throwing money at a business, but both sides benefit from it. The businesses
Good old
benefit
quid
from
pro quo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Max, you're going to probably remember the name of this movie, but where Dana Carvey plays the con man.
Opportunity knocks.
And he gives this, he's a con man, but he gets into the corporate life, and he figures out that, and he gives this great speech about most decisions don't happen in the boardroom, but in the bathroom. Right. And then on the back of the bathroom, while you're sitting taking a number 2, it has the electric sign that says Milt Malkin has hot air. Because he's designing the blowers that dry your hands in the bathroom.
Well, and I think in particular, the executive was in the bathroom while Dana Carvey, who was a master of impersonations, pretends to be George H.W. Bush.
Yes.
And he's saying, 1,000 points of light. This is my favorite hand blower. He's trying to get the celebrity
Gotta
endorsement.
do the hand washing. Yeah. Gotta do the blower. Not liking the towel.
Well, I thought, Matt, where you were going was, and this is I bring this up because this is a way to really utilize the beauty of what Brij can do. Independent of all that, our avid listener, Mr. Shannon Healy over at Alley 26, who, by the way, Shannon, I know you're listening because you do. I love that you call me out typically for not getting enough meat off the bone when someone leaves it open. He's like, so-and-so said something in your podcast and you didn't follow it up with the proper answer. So I'm here to tell you this is what you should have said. So Shannon, I appreciate that you listen so much. You listen so much, you actually named a cocktail at Alley 26,
yes.
The NC F&B cocktail, and it was delicious, and I imbibed on a few, and it was fantastic. But the idea of that is really a beautiful thing. I mean, Matt said to me in jest recently that, we're going to you've made it when there's an Italian sub at a deli that's called the Max Trujillo or something like that.
Actually, I believe what I told you, I told your daughter was, that's your father's long goal, life dream is to have a sandwich named after him, a popular one.
Well, so maybe that's something that we got to do. Maybe that's something we got to put our money where our mouth is. And maybe we should leave this open to the social media atmosphere. But maybe the NCF&B should sponsor a dish or an item on a restaurant that listens to the show, but also is struggling a little bit and could benefit from a few bucks. So if that was the case, I say, the only way you're going to get us to pay you is if you listen to the show and heard me say this right now. But let's have a conversation.
Max, I love that. And if you want to do it on bridgecommunity.com is the address.
DM us on Instagram. Say, hey, we got a perfect idea for something that would make sense for our business and your podcast, because we'll do it. Why not?
Max,
we'll sponsor it.
And think about it. If you sponsor a meal or a beer or a drink, you don't go in by yourself. You bring everyone and their mother with you to show your name up on the wall or on the menu. So all the people that you want to bring, you bring everyone with you, which is the idea. We want to build it in a way that helps both parties.
Yeah, so how does it work? If I'm a restaurateur or I own a restaurant, I'm kind of struggling through the pandemic, trying to find ways to, like you said, reach my constituents. And how would I find you guys? I go to bridgecommunity.com and then set up a consultation meeting, and you figure out how I can raise some money and collaborate. And
well, he'll tell you. He can tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't
I'm just trying to round it in my mind.
Yeah, I think he knows.
You know, it's even easier than that. Let me tell you how. It slices, it dices. No, you go to bridgecommunity.com, and it's BRIJ community.com. And there are 3 buttons on the top right of the screen. One of them is small businesses. And if you click on the small businesses button, you can sign in or you can sign up. Mm-hmm. And the whole process of getting signed in to Brij or signed up for Brij can be under 5 minutes. There are a few things you'll want to have ready. You'll want to have a couple of good images. You'll want to have, some good copy about your place. I do recommend that people have parody in that copy that they would also have up on their social accounts or on their website. So for most people, that is already ready-made and done. And then they need to have a simple concept of a promotion that they want to run. And there are some tools on the website that can really help people understand what those look like. So getting up and running on Brij is a very easy process. There is a whole team of people who will come in after the fact and work to get that business some exposure on Brij, give them some ideas and some tools on way they can promote their relationship with Brij on their existing social channels, which ultimately does help them. Because, the fact of the matter is that Brij was born in a time of crisis, but it is not the long term. This is temporary. In the words of Anthony Fauci, this will end.
Yeah.
Okay. Life is going to go back to normal. And it's frankly not even that far away anymore. But the opportunity that Brij presents, the challenge that Brij helps small businesses overcome, is really that direct connection to their community. It provides this added opportunity to help people develop a tangible, real connection to that business, which is other than, I went in and I ate, but I went in and I ate and I also had the drink with my name on it kind of a thing. But that direct connection over the long term for a business to be able to have their community see what's happening in their place, go and be part of that, even sometimes without having to participate in a promotion, is the real long opportunity here. So if you're a small business, back to your point, Matt, you can go on and get signed up on Brij in truly a matter of minutes. And then the Brij machine, if you will come in and try and help you get some traction there and help you help yourself get some more traction. And that is the beginning of a very long relationship.
If I may, we often like to think of this as the anti-Groupon. Groupon comes in and identifies your least loyal customers. Those are going to take the deal and go to the next deal. We are helping to identify the most loyal customers that want to be part of your business and with you in your community for the long haul.
Yeah, I've been in sales for a long time. Anyone in sales, the 80-20 rule. You'll do 80% of your business with 20% of your clientele. It's as my old boss, when in the last day of closing down a month, we were in the war room selling wine and liquor and all. If we had a quota to hit, let's just say you had to move 30 units of one item. On the last day, Carlo has moved 45 units and Max has only moved 5 units. You'd think, okay, well, Max, you better get off your ass and get 25 more units before the end. That's not the way we did it in the sales room. My boss would look at Carlo, who over-indexed all the way, and said, Carlo, all right, Max had the entire month to make this happen, and he can't do it. You over-indexed, and we need to clean up his mistake. So I need you to even go further because your wheel is already spinning and you understand how to do this. So I need more from you. And Max, you're in the doghouse until you can figure out how to do it next month. But it's where you take your clientele that actually gives a shit about your business and you ask more of them. And sometimes it's okay to do that, because if they are loyal, then they're the ones that truly do want to help your company. And your Brij is giving you a very distinct and specific way to ask your clientele how they can help, which I really appreciate.
And then the other thing, Max, that it does as well, so we have two businesses that came on recently. One in the first 3 days got, I think, over $3,500 given from their most loyal customers. Another, I think, was over $2,500 in 2 days. One was struggling, the other wasn't. The business that wasn't struggling has given it to other businesses in its community that needs to help. The yoga studio, the dry cleaners. And so it's also an avenue, if you're doing just fine, as some businesses are today, to help others that aren't doing as well in your local community.
One of the most common things, and everybody who's a restaurateur on here knows this pain, is you get hit up 18 times a week by the Girl Scout troop, the church group, the welcome wagon, whatever. Can you give us a gift certificate? Can you give us a gift certificate? Can you give us a gift certificate? And it's really kind of exhausting. So a lot of small businesses are initially very generous, and then they just shut down. And then they say, we'll take it under advisement, and we'll, review requests quarterly, monthly, annually even. Brij is a way to kind of make all that be much more succinct. When we had our restaurant Starloo in Durham, we had a charitable giving campaign that we ran the whole time the restaurant was open called Bottles of Change. And the initial thought was, and we had a 6-liter wine bottle sandblasted with the logo of this charity that we started, and we thought people would put their spare change in this bottle, because who uses change anymore? Well, the truth of the matter is most people didn't ever put change in there. They put checks and dollar bills and the occasional piece of trash. But what we started to do was we started to donate $2 per glass, or 50 cents a glass and $2 a bottle of a couple of reds and a couple of whites every month. And then we added in this 15% night. And what we created was this way for businesses to really help them, or organizations to really help themselves. And it became this big leverage point. In the 3 change years we were open, we raised over $45,000.
That's great.
That went directly to organizations.
That's really cool.
So a lot of places don't necessarily have the time or the intellectual wherewithal to do that. And they certainly don't have time to handle these nickel and dime one-off requests. So the model that I propose to a couple of people is use Brij as your way to do that. You're a restaurant X and you're popular and people are coming to you constantly for requests. Put their name in a hat, and once a month you draw a name out, say, hey, this month we're going to be doing this cool promotion on Brij, whatever it is, and a portion of the proceeds from this promotion are going to go to support this charity this month.
Yeah.
And it's a great way for a small business that's dealing with a perpetual flow of requests to say, here's how we do this. Here's the platform we use, and here's the formula that we use. And if you want us to consider having your organization be part of that, you just tell us, and we have a spreadsheet and we'll just run it down. It becomes very, very simple and very, very easy. It could be a portion of gift certificates that got sold. It could be a portion of appetizers. You name it. It's not even that hard to create a way for Brij to be that promotion, for a promotion to live on Brij that helps people then promote a charity in their community, collect funds on behalf of that organization, and do themselves a favor while they're at it.
And let me shamelessly plug another Brij that if you are a restaurateur, I mean, all kidding aside, you could lean on your local purveyors and distributors to, let's say, if you're going to do a glass of wine or a specific glass that gets a certain percentage donated to charity, I'm sure somebody like me would be willing to help you out with some samples to even lower your costs and help the charity, of course. So another Brij opportunity.
Yeah, Sam, you brought up a really good point, and as a restaurateur, anyone listening to the show that's run or is running a restaurant knows that you've been asked a million times, daily, weekly, to donate something, whatever it is. At one point, it wasn't a bad idea. Restaurants or food and beverage establishments are community-driven. They kind of live and die by the local community coming in on repetition. So why not give back a little bit? But of course, given what has happened with the pandemic, these companies cannot survive just based off of the restrictions that that are imposed for safety. So we have to figure out other ways to do it. But now you can go to an orthodontist, or you can go to a legal team or what auto body shop and say, hey, how about you donate money by going to Brij and supporting something that you can get at this restaurant? And so the restaurant doesn't lose any money at all. In fact, they gain business and they get to do these things that everybody truly wants, but they're being funded by a third party, which is fantastic, because I've said it before, and I know maybe I sound like a butthead or an asshole for saying this, but why do restaurants have to donate everything? Like, there are so many businesses out there that are making money all the time that are not asked of. Think about every tech company, every app that's out there. The great companies will donate and do great humanitarian efforts, and I'm not saying that they don't, but they are definitely not being asked at the same level as a local food and beverage establishment. So I think this is a great way to kind of level the playing field and realize the entire community can support whatever cause needs to be supported by also supporting that restaurant in the process.
Yeah, I always think of a win-win. I always think of win-win-win. So the customer wins, become part of the community. The businesses win because they're able to help themselves or help others that they want to help.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, restaurants are kind of like the prize. Like that's why people go to them directly and say, "Hey, can you help support?" Because in the end, wherever the monies are being generated or whatever, we just want to dine at this place because it's a great place. But now it's, can we get someone else to fund this?
Absolutely,
and put that there.
Yeah, so if you think about this in the construct of the people who are in this community, you guys are a prime example. I was a prime example. Bill is in very many ways a prime example. Brij is a way to blaze your own path, to make that connection in your own way, because the opportunities are essentially limitless. If it's legal, you can do it, right? And Brij takes $0 off the transaction. So if somebody decides they want to do something and it's got a $100 price tag on it, there's a little bit of money that goes to Stripe, which is the payment platform, but it's nominal. So it's this great pathway for individuals to go and get outside the bounds of all the normal things that exist. So when I think about myself, when I think about a lot of the people that I knew in the food industry, when I meet you guys, when I met Bill, I'm like, what is the thing we all have in common? And it's this strong independence thing. And that's really what people are attracted to. People are attracted, the restaurants that people feel most passionate about are the ones that are unique, and they're driven by these strong personalities. So like, there's this takeaway that I really want for people to have is like, Brij is for rebels, man. I don't want restaurateurs to hear this and go, oh, this is some like super corporate, construct that I've got to like conform to. It's like quite the opposite. It's we built a sandbox for you to go in and be you and express the unique nature of your business, your experience, your talent, your skill, your product, whatever. Brij is for rebels. And I like everybody who's on this really needs to understand that. So when they go to the website, they might get a certain feel for it, but they need to understand that this is a place for them to, the harder they lean in on their individuality, the better it's going to be.
Nice.
Well, and what's really encouraging is since the first time you and I spoke, Sam, about Brij, I guess maybe a month ago or so, I've looked at your supporters on the site, and you guys have more than doubled the amount of people or the amount of businesses that are on your page that are in there. So I'm seeing a nice trajectory and a growth of support, and that's how it's going to work. I mean, it is a community-driven business or Brij, pardon the pun, but yeah, you are putting it all together, and it looks as though it's growing. Any in particular successes that you've seen, or anything that you'd like to talk about specifically of like partnerships that you've been working with, so we can kind of visualize how it's really working?
So I'll throw out two, if I may, and then Sam jump in. One is a small brewery that has two major events that they're doing. One, there was a woman who had her dogs that had passed away, and she wanted to name two beers after her dogs, Patience, and I forget the second name. So they're having a doggy night at the backyard at the brewery in honor, and they're going to have, I think, 300-400 people, hopefully wearing masks and socially distanced in April, where they're going to celebrate these two named beers. We have another, which is a restaurant and bar that has a local following and is having a joint promotion with this brewery. So we're bringing in the brewery to come in and do a promotion that night. And one of the goals of Brij is to try and have the businesses cross-talk. So let's learn from a business in San Diego that's on. Let's learn from a business that may not be a restaurant. Let the non-restaurants learn from what the restaurants are doing. So the ability of the community to think about new ideas that they may not have thought of before is just a search as we start to build up volume. So those are two I'll throw out in particular. One's a restaurant and bar, and the second is a brewery. Both are now joint promoting on Brij.
Yeah, I mean, and Max, you touched on it in an interesting way, and I want to help people think about, the nights that you're not open, the times when you're not doing your normal thing. These are all part of your inventory to create experiences for others that they can choose to participate, to sponsor, to fund, you name it. And I want to be really, really deliberate about this. We talk about independence, we talk about independent restaurants, we talk about these one-off opportunities. That isn't the only opportunity here. If you're a multi-unit operator of a national franchise, and let's say you have 20 locations of said, even if you have one location of said national franchise, as long as your franchise rules permit it, there's nothing precluding you from creating your own unique thing that people can latch onto. Because how many people don't know when they drive by and they see a Jersey Mike's, that's owned by their neighbor.
Right. Yeah.
Just because it has a corporate name on it doesn't mean it's not a local operator who might have seen a path for them to go and do the thing they wanted to do, to live the life they wanted to lead. They're just like you. They're just like the independent operator because they wanted to forge their own path. They're just as much a rebel as you are. They just chose a different way to do it. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that, Brij is not about only the local operator. It's not about the individual who's only got one place. It's about creating an experience or an opportunity to get a connection to a thing that other people love.
However, the cynic in me, or the Shannon Healy in me, has to ask, come January 2nd, 2022, when you guys, because I'm assuming that this is all gearing towards a for-profit business, how will you change gears, and how will this be a for-profit business?
Matt, great question. So one of the things that has to be clear up front, to me, we set out on a mission to help businesses. So one thing we won't do, even on January 1, is start taking it out of the business's cut. The goal is to get money to those small businesses. So we'll do it basically through three platforms. One, through sponsorship from businesses who, a knife company, a Pillsbury, or someone that supplies the local baker or the restaurant. Number two, through advertising on the site like everyone else does. And three, through business analytics. So the ability to
providing business analytics for others.
Yeah. So, if you're in San Diego and you've got a brewery and you say, okay, I'm interested in running this kind of promotion, what kind of success or failure have others had? Well, at that point, Brij is going to have a whole library of statistics to be able to pull and say, okay, well, breweries like yours, businesses like yours, of your size, in a community your size, we can parse out the data any way we want to and provide those analytics to someone for a fee. As we all know, certainly within the corporate spectrum, but it's certainly filtered down to small business. Big data is everything. And Brij is not immune to the value of the product that they are going to generate by people's behavior. The one thing that I can say is there is no plan to create an algorithm that is going to filter any sort of a feed that you may have, because as people go to the website and they see what's on the website, know that there are plans to make this a whole lot more mobile friendly. So envision, a day when there's an app and you can just go on the app and, for all intents and purposes, create your own algorithm. I want to look at breweries in Durham that are open today.
So you think about the way Google started when they were still Google and not Alphabet. They started with a search algorithm that was genuinely organic. You didn't pay to play. You didn't pay for placement, yet you didn't pay to search on Google. They had a vision of continuing that service and letting us use that service for free, which is essentially where our vision is.
I mean, I really appreciate what you all are doing. I do understand that your business, if it's going to continue and succeed, you've got to form a way to be a lifeline for your own company. But it's amazing that you all are dedicated and devoting so much time to helping, we all know, the industry that probably has been affected the most during the pandemic. So this is great. I realize this is not even just for the pandemic. This is just to create a new way of looking at how to support your local businesses. It's not just for restaurants, though. That's what we were talking about here on the podcast. But you could support any company that's in that realm.
For example, you could support Proof Alcohol Ice Cream, which, I believe we need our own. We need to form a bridge with them and have our own flavor. Like,
ooh, that would be a good way to do it.
Matt and Max Chocolat, like talk a lot, or the proof is in the putsis.
Chock full of ideas. Yeah.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Well, Matt, they actually do have a new old favorite that came out. I'm talking about their bourbon chocolate cherry, which was actually brand new last year in 2020, but they rolled it out again for the second time because everyone loved it so much. So it's a brand new flavor. It's delicious. We all know Proof Alcohol Ice Cream has roughly about 7% ABV alcohol in every pint of ice cream. We have it here in our freezer, our branded red freezer at the kitchen, but you can also get it at any retailer that sells it, like the aforementioned Triangle Wine Company. But you can also get it at Harris Teeter, at Lowe's. I saw it at Total Wine. I mean, they are bridging the gap between you and your taste buds. And so go to Proof Alcohol Ice Cream. Think differently about dessert. Click the link in our show notes to learn more. And gents, when we see you next time, we're going to have to give you a pint of ice cream. It doesn't travel that well in the mail. We tried that before. Kind of not so good. But when we see each other in person, we'd be happy to give you a delicious pint of ice cream. But Matt, what else we got before we get out of here?
Gentlemen, thank you for what you're doing for the community. And for those of you out there that want to know more, go to Bridge Community and they will tell you or form a bridge for you to go eat and drink very merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.